And now, ladies and gentlemen, from the heart of the Inland Empire, right here in sunny Southern California, it's Robert Cardoza Live, where we talk about politics, money, and you. This is the intersection of business and politics. And now here's your host, Robert Cardoza.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. And you know what? I say it to you every single day. What a fantastic show we're going to have for you today. Well, I suppose I should say TGIF. Thank God it's Friday. I can't hardly wait for the weekend. It seems like it's been a long time coming. You know, it's been raining like crazy here in the heart of the Inland Empire in southern California. Boy, I mean, it's been coming down. Well, today it's been kind of a little bit of a relief, but you know what starts up again is going to rain all through next week again. So that's kind of what's going on. Well, on today's show, we're going to talk about what's in the news, new legislation, the IRS loses, and we'll be doing our news segment, the tribute to the late great Paul Harvey, and the rest of the story. Our story today is amazing. You're not going to want to miss that. Not at all. You know what? And then a little bit later on, we'll have John Matthews. He'll be here with Joe Hakos, and we'll be talking about conservative politics. I think we're going to be talking about the intelligence services and spying and that kind of stuff. And then after him, we'll be doing our Garrett on the Law with David Garrett. He'll be here. We'll be talking about that. We've got just a really terrific, interesting, fun-packed show for you. So let's get right to it. Let's start off letting you know that at 3:02 p.m. Pacific time, it's currently 60 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. That's on its way down to 48 degrees tonight. But you know what? Let's talk about news. And in an early GOP win on health care repeal, Congress okays the budget. Well, you know what? Ascendant Republicans drove a budget through Congress today that gives them an early but critical victory in their crusade to scrap President Barack Obama's health care overhaul. The vote trains the spotlight on whether they and Donald Trump can deliver on repeated pledges to not just erase that statute, but replace it, demonstrating the GOP's willingness to plunge into a defining but risky battle. The House used a near-party line 227 to 198 roll call to approve a measure that prevents Senate Democrats from derailing a future bill, thus far unwritten, annulling, and reshaping Obama's landmark 2010 law. The budget, which won Senate approval early on Thursday, does not need the president's signature. The Unaffordable Care Act will soon be history, Trump tweeted Friday in a dig at the statute's name, the Affordable Care Act. Trump takes the presidential oath next Friday. The real work looms in coming months as the new administration and congressional Republicans write legislation to erase much of the health care law and replace it with a GOP version. Republicans have internal divisions over what that would look like, though past GOP proposals have cut much of the existing law's federal spending and erased coverage requirements while relying more on tax benefits and letting states make decisions. Today's vote was preceded by debate that saw hyperbole on both sides and underscored how the two parties have alternate universe views of Obama's overhaul. Democrats praise it for extending coverage to tens of millions of Americans, helping families afford policies and seniors buy prescriptions, while Republicans focused on the rising premiums and deductibles and limited access to doctors and insurers that have plagued many people. Well, House Speaker Paul Ryan from Wisconsin, the Republican, says the health care law was so arrogant and so contrary to our founding principles and had not delivered on Obama's promises to lower costs and provide more choice. We have to step in before things get worse. This is nothing short of a rescue mission, Ryan said. Well, we'll see what happens. You know what? It's all hyperbole until they get smart and we see what's going on. In the meantime, all we can do is wait and see. I suppose wait and pray. We'll see. Anyway, top Trump aide and a frequent contact with Russia's ambassador, President-elect Donald Trump's national security advisor and Russia's ambassador to the U.S. have been in frequent contact in recent weeks, including on the day the Obama administration hit Moscow with sanctions in retaliation for election-related hacking, a senior official said today. Trump spokesman Sean Spicer acknowledged contacts between Michael Flynn and Ambassador Sergei Kislyak back, but said a phone conversation occurred on December the 28th, one day before the sanctions were levied. Spicer said the men did not discuss sanctions. He did not specifically deny additional contacts the following day. It's not unusual for incoming administrations to have discussions with foreign governments before taking office, but the repeated contacts, just as President Barack Obama imposed sanctions, would raise questions about whether Trump's team discussed or even helped shape Russia's response to the penalties. Russian President Vladimir Putin unexpectedly did not retaliate against the United States for the move, a decision Trump quickly praised. Well, I don't know that praise needs to be done, but we certainly need to play this card properly. Let's hope that a successful businessman and his team can make that happen. Well, British ex-spy behind Trump dossier seen as a cool operator. You know what? Christopher Steele, the one-time British spy who has compiled an explosive dossier on President-elect Donald Trump, is a well-regarded operative who wouldn't make up stories to satisfy his clients, according to diplomatic and intelligence experts who know him. Steele, 52 years old, worked for MI6, Britain's overseas intelligence agency, and served in Moscow in the early 1990s. After leaving the agency, he and a partner started Orbis Business Intelligence Limited in 2009. The firm provides strategic advice, gathers intelligence, and conducts cross-border investigations, according to its website. I know him as a very competent professional operator who left the Secret Service and is now operating his own private company. Andrew Wood, Britain's ambassador to Russia from 1995 to 2000, told the BBC just today. I do not think he would make things up. I don't think he would necessarily always draw correct judgment, but that's not the same thing. Well, we'll see. You know, everybody seems to be discounting what's going on. Now all of a sudden somebody's defending himself. Let's see what happens. I have no idea. Well, I can tell you this, though. Trump's team of rivals discordant notes in the Amen chorus. Here's the deal. You can't really call them yes men. Maybe we're meeting Donald Trump's yes but men. Some of the incoming president's most important cabinet choices are at odds with him on matters that were dear to his heart as a campaigner and central to his promises to supporters. Trump says he doesn't mind the disconnect. He wants his cabinet members to be themselves, say what you want to say, he told reporters on Friday to New York, in New York. I may be right, they may be right. But despite that breezy dismissal, the differences laid bare in a week of confirmation hearings raise questions about whether Trump will roll over his cabinet on immigration, Russia, national security, and more, bend to his top advisors and stated convictions, or watch them backtrack from pronouncements that may be helping them win Senate approval. It's a team of rivals with this twist. The mercurial Trump can be a rival himself. You know what? We're going to take a short break, but just don't ever think that these guys haven't been so well vetted, so well trained that they're not answering these questions the way they need to ask them in order to get the Senate approval that they're so dearly hoping for. Now, we're going to take a short break. Don't go away. When we come back, more news. And a report says Chicago police violated civil rights for years. I'll tell you all about it right after these brief messages.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. You know, nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 3:12 p.m. Pacific time. It's currently 60 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. It's on its way down to 48 degrees. That's going to be cool enough. A little bit later on the show, we'll give you some of the temperatures for our globally syndicated network in different parts of the world. You'll find that kind of interesting. But right now, let's continue the news. A report says Chicago police violated civil rights for years. You know what? The Justice Department on Friday or today exposed years of civil rights violations by Chicago police, blasting the nation's third largest department for using excessive force that included shooting at people and did not pose a threat, who did not pose a threat, and using stun guns on others only because they refused to follow commands. The report was issued after a year-long investigation sparked by the 2014 death of a black teenager who was shot 16 times by a white officer. The federal investigation looked broadly at law enforcement practices, concluding that officers were not sufficiently trained or supported, and that many of those who were accused of misconduct were rarely investigated or disciplined. The findings came just a week before the change in administration that could reorder priorities at the Justice Department. Now, under President Barack Obama, the government has conducted 25 civil rights investigations of police departments, including those in Cleveland, Baltimore, and Seattle. President-elect Donald Trump's position on the federal review process is unclear at this point. His nominee to be Attorney General has expressed ambivalence about the system. The Chicago officers endangered civilians, caused avoidable injuries and deaths, and eroded community trust that is a cornerstone of public safety, said Vanita Grupa, head of the Justice Department's Civil Rights Division. The federal government's recommendations follow an especially bloody year in Chicago, or on the Chicago streets for that matter. The city logged 762 homicides in 2016, the highest tally in 20 years, and more than the combined total of the two largest U.S. cities, New York and Los Angeles. Wow. Give that some thought. It's not good stuff, right? No, not at all. So let's, you know what? Let's talk about, come on, let's go here. Let's talk about, Takata agrees to a guilty plea and will pay $1 billion for hiding a defect. Well, Takata Corporation has agreed to plead guilty to a single criminal charge and will pay $1 billion in fines and restitution for a years-long scheme to conceal a deadly defect in its automotive airbag inflators. The U.S. Attorney's Office in Detroit announced the deal today, hours after it unsealed a 6-count grand jury indictment against 3 former Takata executives who are accused of carrying out the scheme by falsifying and altering test reports that showed the inflators could rupture. Takata inflators can explode with too much force, spewing shrapnel into drivers and passengers. At least 11 people have been killed in the United States and 16 worldwide because of the defect. More than 180 have been injured. The problem touched off the largest automotive recall in U.S. history, covering 42 million vehicles and 69 million inflators. It will take years for the recalls to be completed. The risk that they allowed to happen is really reprehensible, said Barbara McQuaid, the U.S. attorney in Detroit, whose office worked on the 2-year investigation. Wow. Can you imagine? It's just, and we just, and we just keep hearing about this stuff. We hear about it. We read about it. We know about it. But it seems like we don't really get up in arms about it. $1 billion for what they did? Maybe way, way short. You know what? Volkswagen had to pay $3.6 billion because they lied about emissions testing. That's a whole different thing, huh? Well, a Paris meeting marks the end to Obama's failed Mideast diplomacy. The Obama administration's 8 years of unsuccessful Israeli-Palestinian diplomacy will come to a crashing end this weekend, with chances for a Mideast peace deal at perhaps the lowest ebb in a generation. A Paris peace conference attended by Secretary of State John Kerry is not expected to produce any tangible progress. At a time when President-elect Donald Trump's administration is promising a fundamental shift toward Israel, the State Department said Kerry was only participating in the French-hosted event to ensure America's interest in a 2-state solution to the conflict is preserved. The blunt statement reinforced in dwindling hopes for a diplomatic breakthrough. Kerry feels obliged to be there because we have an interest in advancing a 2-state solution, and we also have an interest in ensuring that whatever happens in this conference is constructive and balanced, Department spokesman Tom Toner said. No one expects a plan to emerge that would lead to new Israeli-Palestinian negotiations. While more than 70 countries are attending, though neither Israel nor the Palestinians, the U.S. is primarily focused on shielding the Jewish state from unfair criticism and ensuring concerns about Palestinian incitement to violence are going to be ignored. Now, you know what? But the administration may find that its voice is ignored, while the U.S. received credit from close allies in Europe and elsewhere for abstaining from a December UN Security Council resolution condemning Israeli settlements in the West Bank and East Jerusalem. America's partners have grown tired with its leadership on the peace process. Obama's efforts in 2009 and to 2010 and 2013 and 2014 both failed. You know what? Maybe it's time for us to do business like business people. Let's just think about that. Well, we're going to take one more break. When we come back, we're going to talk about something a whole lot more pleasant. We're going to talk about the IRS loses. And the first case I want to talk to you about is the IRS must consider a company's tax payment plan. Sounds a little strange, but I'll tell you about it right after these brief messages. Don't go away, folks.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. association with the nationally syndicated Celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make the interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios, Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
The story you are about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 3:23 p.m. Pacific time. Hey, it's 58 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. It's on its way down to 47 degrees, according to this thing. Those things keep changing. If you're listening to us on our globally syndicated network and you're in New York City, well, it's 39 degrees and it's partly cloudy. And if you're in Chicago, Illinois, listening to our show, it's 27 degrees and it is overcast. You know what? But I'll tell you what's not overcast. No clouds over our next segment. We're going to talk about something absolutely pleasing that'll put a chill up and down your spine and put a smile on your face. We're talking about the IRS loses. In our first case here, they must consider a company's tax payment plan. Sounds a little strange, but listen to it. A company lost money in 2005 and fell behind in paying payroll taxes. Now, new owners returned it to profitability in 2006. At the start of the year, they proposed a plan to pay all current taxes starting in the second quarter of 2006 while paying off the back taxes in installments. But an IRS appeals officer rejected the plan, saying that he had to because the company wasn't paying its current first quarter 2006 taxes. The IRS started collection actions and the company went to court. Now, this is what the judge said. The appeals officer was simply wrong to say that he couldn't consider a reasonable payment plan because the current quarter's taxes weren't paid. The IRS is ordered to consider that plan right now. Yeah. Well, here's another one. The IRS loses. They cannot work. They can't get the work papers of a company's accountants. So here's the deal. Tax accounting work papers generally are not protected by any privilege of confidentiality, such as a lawyer-client privilege does. But in a recent case, when the IRS summoned work papers, the company refused to provide them, saying that they included notes to its lawyers about how likely the IRS was to challenge certain items and the amount of the reserve set aside to cover the challenges. So they went to court. This is what the judge said. The work papers were privileged from the IRS because they were prepared in anticipation of litigation against the IRS. Their only value to the IRS was not in revealing the company's tax liability, but in revealing its litigation strategy. So the company gets to keep them a secret. That's the way it ought to be. Everybody should get that ability, right? How about this? The IRS loses. They must pay a taxpayer's legal costs for a conceded case. So here's the deal. You know, you've heard me talk about the IRS concedes cases all the time. And when they do that, it's because they're pretty sure they can't prevail in court. This is what happens sometimes. The IRS tried to hold Clyde T. Kinnison personally liable for $160,000 of employment taxes that it said his business owed. Now, the IRS eventually admitted that it sent the tax assessment after the deadline for doing so and conceded the case. Well, Kinnison then asked the court to order the IRS to pay his legal costs. The IRS said that it shouldn't have to do so because its position had been reasonable until it missed the assessment deadline. Well, this is what the judge said. In administrative proceedings, Kinnison had offered the IRS evidence that the tax had been paid, but the IRS rejected it, giving no reason. That was unreasonable, so the IRS must pay Kinnison's costs from the date until the date that it actually conceded the case. Now we know what's going on there. Well, you've heard me talk about being a fly on the wall when the IRS is doing stuff. That's where we're at right now with this segment that we call Inside the IRS. Yeah, now this sounds a little bit like the Twilight Zone and is meant to, but it really kind of is. This is not really tax court cases, but it's information. It's information that you can use. There's nothing more valuable than information. So if these things apply to you, just use this knowledge to your benefit. That's what you really want to be doing. Now, the first thing is be prepared this year to document your deductions. We're right into tax season. The IRS is now requiring tax return preparers to adopt a standard of more likely than not. Well, what does that mean? They got to do that before they claim a tax deduction or take a particular tax position on a client's income tax return, meaning it is more likely than not that the return would be upheld ultimately by a court. Now, the tax return preparer is now going to be liable for a penalty of up to the greater of $5,000 or 50% of the income that he or she earned from preparing that tax return. So now you know kind of where that's at. You're going to have to be able to substantiate everything. And also, here's one for you. Be careful before deducting entrance fees and monthly maintenance fees paid to a continuing care retirement community. We call those CCRCs. Because you know what? CCRCs generally provide qualified long-term care services for which the medical deduction may be available. Now, here's a problem, though. In their effort to sell apartment units, sponsors of some CCRCs overestimate the portion of these fees that are tax deductible. That's the portion used to provide medical services. Now, you got to be careful here. If the IRS audits you, it's going to require that you prove with independent evidence that the amount that was deducted is correct, and that's not so easy. Also, the bigger your living quarters, the higher the entrance fee and monthly maintenance. However, the amount attributable to medical expenses is not a function of the size of the apartment. So keep that in mind as you move along. That's kind of where you want to be with this kind of stuff. Now, you know what? We're going to take another short break. When we come back, we're going to be with John Matthews from the Conservative Syndicate. We do our syndicated program with him. We do a simulcast with him every Monday and Friday, and it's really a popular thing for us to do. Before we do that, though, I want to remind you that you can just go to your app store, buy our app. Just search Robert Cardoza Live, not buy our app, just get our app. It's absolutely free. Just search Robert Cardoza Live at your app store. It'll come up. Just download it And like I say, it's absolutely free. Then you'll be able to listen to our show 24/7 at your own convenience. Or if we're broadcasting live like we are now, you'll be able to listen to it live, even be able to chat with us while we're on the air. And you might find that of interest to you and helpful. But at least you get to listen to our show, and all of our archive shows are there as well. So you're not going to want to miss that. Now, don't go away, because when we come back, we're going to be with John Matthews and the Conservative Syndicate on our simulcast. We'll be right back.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. You know, nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know, Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchase high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, coming to you from the basement of his strategic planning room located at his political hideaway in Los Angeles County, the dedicated man who stands and serves the political conscience of our nation, Mr. John Matthews.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 3:34 p.m. Pacific time, currently 58 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. It's on its way down to 47 degrees. And if you're listening to us on our globally syndicated network and you happen to be listening in Paris, France, well, it's 39 degrees and it's partly cloudy. And if you're listening to us in Rome, Italy, it's 36 degrees and partly cloudy. And if you're listening to us, hey, you guys, it's 30 minutes. It's 1:30 midnight. Time for you to go to bed. If you had my app, you'd be able to listen to this thing in the daylight. So in any event, get ready, sit back, enjoy what's about to take place. We're going to be with my good buddy, John Matthews in the Conservative Syndicate. Hey, John, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing most excellent. How about you?
I'm doing terrific. Listen, are you planning another vacation, a travel vacation?
Yes, we're heading out to the Philippines next week for a couple of weeks. It's my oldest daughter's 50th birthday, so we're going to go back there and help her celebrate.
Hey, John, how old does that make you feel?
Very, very old. Yeah. Well, when we think about things like we have 8 children between us, Lourdes and I, and 17 grandchildren, 5 great-grandchildren. And going back to meet the 2 newest, the twins, great-granddaughters. And so, yeah, it makes you really come face to face with mortality when you think about stuff like this.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, absolutely no question about that. That's for sure. We've got kids that old too. I shouldn't say unfortunately. I should say fortunately, actually, and they're wonderful to have. You generally, you and Lourdes, you generally get back to the Philippines almost every year, don't you?
No, I don't go back there that often. My wife makes it a point to go back at least every 3 years minimum. We've been doing a lot of traveling lately just because, being retired now, I have that luxury. But, just most of the time she goes back, and they're long trips. Normally when she goes back, she's back there 3 to 6 months. But this time it's just going to be a couple of weeks because we both have a lot of stuff going on out here. So, we're just going back. We promised the daughter we'd be back there for her 50th birthday, so we're going to make it a point to get back there.
Well, that'll be terrific. And have you seen these new great grandchildren yet?
No, that's a little bit down the line. The oldest great-grandchild is only 5 years old.
Oh, okay. Anyway, my friend, listen, today we want to talk about, I guess we're going to be talking about the spying agencies and intelligence agencies. I'm not real sure what you got in mind, but I'm guessing that with this new Pompey guy, I'm sure I'm not pronouncing that properly, Mike Pompey, I think that all of these issues are going to go away. He's going to be the head of the new CIA, which makes all of this leaking a non-issue, right?
Well, I'm still trying to get my head around this. I thought we'd seen about as much craziness as we could see during the election process itself, but it looks like, all that talk about uniting and accepting the election results and everything else, and it looks like the left is in overdrive here, trying to exonerate Hillary Clinton in order to protect Barack Obama. That seems to be the end game here. And I'm looking at it, and I don't know what right now. I don't know what has got me more, messed up in my head. I don't know if it's the fake report that has been allegedly circulated, where nobody wants to own up to actually having it or whatever. But it's a fake report about fake allegations about fake influence.
Yeah.
And everybody's trying to make it like everything is, that Russia won the election for Donald Trump. And
well, you know how silly that is. I don't know if you've had a chance to do it. I've read that entire report, and they're making a lot to do about nothing, even if it was valid, for gosh sakes. There's nothing in there that really influenced the election of Trump, except perhaps James Comey, who had nothing to do with the Russians anyway.
Yeah, well, you've got to look at what the way the allegations are unfolding and what they're trying to do here, and it's really, like I said, it's an end game here. Nobody wants to admit that Barack Obama, his agenda, his administration, the damage that he did to the Democrat Party, nobody wants to acknowledge that. And even if they privately within their own circles they might, they're not going to do it in the public realm because that would be an admission that they totally missed the boat. So they're not going to do that. So this whole process that's been going on here, I really believe this is, a desperation move here to try to, because the media and the left anymore, it's not really about having facts or evidence about what it is you're saying. Harry Reid showed us that. Harry Reid set the pattern here back in 2012 when he told everybody that Mitt Romney hadn't paid taxes in 20 years. And it was later found out to be complete fabrication, and his comment was, it doesn't matter, it worked.
Yeah.
And then, so that has been the narrative since then. It's like will create the news. It's not reporting news anymore. It's creating the news, and they're creating the news through false narratives.
Right.
This, and I don't know what bothers me more, the allegations of a dossier made by a British agent who is no longer a British agent working for a private security firm who makes money doing this kind of stuff, or the fact now that everybody, that James Comey for a while was the Democrats' best friend. Now he's their worst enemy. They've got the Department of Justice finally deciding they're going to investigate the guy who should have investigated the lady who all these allegations were laid against. It's like, I mean, these guys should get jobs at Saturday Night Live. You can't make this kind of stuff up.
You know what's interesting is, I mean, I think Comey actually I don't think they could get rid of him even if they wanted to until after Trump's first tenure here. But I'm thinking that Trump is probably more than willing to extend him another 10 years.
Well, I think the objective here, like I said, there's two objectives, because Obama never did. People, Obama's on his way out, everybody says. He's kind of like he's no news, that kind of stuff. Don't believe that for a moment. Don't believe it. He is still the point man for the leftist fundamental transformation of America. He's going to take up residence just down the street from the White House. I believe personally, within the next 2 years, this guy's going to go for world domination. He wants the UN. He wants to run the UN, and I think that's where he's heading. So there's no way, shape, or form that this guy with the ego that he's got and the socio-psychopathic narcissism that drives him, they have to somehow, at least in the minds of their base, exonerate Hillary Clinton. She did not lose the election because she was dishonest, corrupt, a bad candidate, or didn't campaign right. She lost the election because the Russians stepped in and interfered.
Oh, gosh, I must have got it wrong, huh?
Yeah, I mean, and now they're stretching out the fact that, now they're thinking that the allegations are starting to float out there. But not only did Donald Trump have connections with the Russians, but James Comey was working with them. So it's going to get crazier than it is right now. It's amazing. I think James Comey probably sometime mid-year here will probably throw his hands up and go, screw this, and retire.
Well, you know what? It's interesting that you say that, John, because you know what? Today, for the first time, I'm actually starting to hear those kinds of noises too. And it's almost like a deja vu when you said that. You know what? James Comey doesn't need this thing. And he's truly a public service servant. He can make a whole lot more money in a lot of other places other than being the director of the FBI. And at some point, he's got to get frustrated and say, "Hey, to hell with you guys."
Well, Megyn Kelly's gone from Fox News. He could take her place. Which, by the way, if you've noticed, been paying any attention since Megyn Kelly left Fox News, we're not hearing anything more about her. She's over at NBC. Over at NBC, the only people that will watch NBC is Chris Matthews' parents. That's about it. So,
yep.
But she did it for the money. She grabbed the money. She got I think an $18 million contract.
$20 million, the highest paid woman in broadcast history.
She's not the highest paid. She's a little bit under Matt Lauer.
Woman. She's the highest paid woman.
Yeah, Matt Lauer's getting about $25 million right now. So, but that puts her right up there, though. I mean, Matt Lauer makes one more screw up, and she's going to be at the top of the food chain. So,
yeah, but you know what? Matt Lauer gives me hope. I mean, he's a bald guy. $25 million a year. I think I could live on that.
Hey, they could pay me $2,000 a month, and I'd do what they could do. And I would do it 10 times better.
Yeah. You know what? It's amazing stuff going on. Hey, listen, we're going to take a short break, John, and then we'll come back and continue this conversation. We'll be right back with John Matthews in the Conservative Syndicate after these brief messages. Do not go away.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're talking to our own John Matthews. You know, John broadcasts his show, The Conservative Syndicate, every Monday through Friday from 3 to 5 p.m., same time that we do. So for my listeners, you just continue listening to me live, and then after my show, you can go to John's website and pick up his show there. Now, John and I actually do a simulcast every Monday and Friday, so that we put all of our stations and listeners and everybody together. John, what's your website, just before I forget?
TheConservativeSyndicate.net.
No, I knew that that's what it was. I wanted to hear you talk. Anyway, we were talking about James Comey, and you were saying that, you really thought he was going to throw his arms in the air and say, hey, I give up, I forget this thing. I think that's, a legitimate concern. I think that very well could happen. In a case like that, I'm guessing because Trump gets inaugurated a week from today, that he would actually pick the next FBI director, right?
I reword that to me, Bob. I didn't quite pick that up.
I say, if Comey were to resign, then Trump is the guy that would actually nominate the next FBI director, right?
Oh, right. That is an appointed position, and it's a term position. Means that I think they're there for 10 years at a pop.
Yeah.
And I do not believe that's a confirmation type thing. I think you can appoint him. I don't think there's any hearings. I might be wrong on that, but I don't think they have to have confirmation hearings. But given what I've been hearing so far, I guess anything is possible here. Our new senator out here in California, Kamala Harris, thought it was really important to ask the appointment for the head of the CIA what he thought about climate change. And I'm like, and this guy's answering her like, what the hell are you talking about? I'm heading up an intelligence agency. What are we talking about climate change for?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
But that's the kind of vetting they want, Kamala Harris, a lot of people don't know this. You're going to hear this woman. This woman is Barbara Boxer on steroids. I mean, she is everything the Barbara Boxer is and more. It's a combination of Nancy Pelosi and Barbara Boxer. This woman is hardcore liberal communist, and it's going to be kind of entertaining to watch her as she tries to move her way up the congressional ladder. So
I've been watching a lot of these confirmation hearings, John, and to be honest with you, they seem to me a bit naive. It just seems like they're going through the motions. The senators are asking questions you would expect them to ask, and the proponents are answering in a way that you would expect them to ask if they want to be approved, right? And nobody's interested there in actually talking about honesty.
Well, at this point, you got to really understand what's at stake here. The left lost big time. They lost big under Obama. They lost big this election. Obama was able to keep the White House, but the Democrat Party paid for that, and they paid for it in a big way. 1,042 seats that were held by Democrats over the last 8 years are now occupied by either Republicans or other parties out there. So they took a major hit. And everything that you're hearing right now is just theater. And the only thing they're trying to do is reestablish a narrative so that once these people in cabinet positions, I don't see any of them not getting confirmed. I see, there's going to be some show and some theater. But once they really want these people in there, because what they're doing now is setting the foundation. They want the public to know that Donald Trump is basically going to be running a white nationalist cabinet and in a white nationalist administration. So once these people start making decisions, they can come back and use everything that they're talking about in the confirmation hearings to do what they can do to label these people, to defame them, to advance their narrative. They're trying to repackage the same narrative once again. And so all this right now is just setting the narrative out there. We're putting our pieces back in place. So once Trump starts to actually govern, we can go to each one of these things and point them out. See, we talked about this in the hearing. This guy's a racist. This guy's a nationalist. This guy's hates women. This guy, it's going to be just watch it down the line. I'm watching him try to take apart Ben Carson, and how are you going to look at a black man who rose and was raised in the ghetto, came out of a gang, became a neurosurgeon? How are you going to paint this guy as a white nationalist racist?
Yeah.
But they'll do it. They'll do it somehow. They'll try to do it. So that's all it is. They lost. They're trying to reestablish. They don't have a plan B. It's just repackaged plan A. That's all they do.
It just seems to me that, they're going to say and do whatever they need to do to be able to be approved and confirmed as cabinet secretaries. And then once they're confirmed, the legislature can't do a doggone thing about it. Then they can go out and proceed and do things the way that they've already pre-planned them. And I don't see this as being a real vetting process. I just see this as going through the motions to get something on the record, and like you said, so they can come back and say, I told you so, but at that point it doesn't make any difference.
No, you're right. They're absolutely right. It's an exercise in posturing.
Yeah.
You're going to use the confirmation hearings to posture for whatever respective narrative that you as a congressperson or a senator wants to advance to your constituency. So it's, each one of them, like Kamala Harris talking to the CIA director about climate change. She's a big climate change person.
Yeah.
So she's going to use that to try come back here to California and tell all the great constituents that voted for her, see, I'm going to make sure that the CIA intelligence doesn't interfere with the rays of the sun. That's really what it is. And so it's a posturing session that each senator can sit there and say, well, I'm this and I'm that, and it's all show. You're right. It's all show and no substance.
Yeah. It just, you know what? I am just so anxious for next Friday around 2:00 Eastern time. Well, actually, I suppose I should say Monday. I think a week from this Monday is gonna be when we're gonna start seeing real action. I'll tell you what, I think we're gonna see a whole lot of stuff take place. I said the first 100 days because that's how we've been talking, and I think you're gonna see a whole lot of stuff the first week.
Yeah, well, that's what they're trying to slow down right now. This is these accusations and allegations about an alleged dossier that nobody can identify where it really came from.
Yeah.
With information that all the intelligence agencies, for the most part, have just said we don't really have there's not really anything here. But the news media decided, well, we'll report to you that the report exists, and we'll deny that it's substantial or has been substantiated or verified, but we'll just report to you that the report's there.
Well, yeah, you know what, and you know what, John? Tell me, what is the difference between the accusation that Russia was trying to interfere with our political process, and now we have this ex-MI6 guy that's part of Great Britain? Isn't that what he's doing too?
Well, the process, you got to know the storyline behind this. This guy was hired by Democratic operatives to find information out on Trump.
Yeah.
Somewhere down the line, somebody said, this isn't worth it. And so what they did was the guy just continued to write whatever he wanted to write. The dossier landed in the hands of the FBI, not by the Democrats, but by John McCain. John McCain is the one that started this whole thing.
Yep.
And so that's where we're at here. And it's just a narrative. Get the narrative out there, keep punching it, keep pushing it, and people will believe it.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, John, we got 45 seconds before we have to move along. I want you to go ahead and promote your show.
Yeah, you can catch us at theconservativesyndicate.net, and we've picked up some new contributors to this year. We've got Scott Faulkner, who is right now currently working with the Trump transition team. Worked with the Reagan administration. He's working with Trump, helping him over there with some of the administrative duties. We've got Jonathan Dunn from The Blaze has now joined us. So we picked up some good people this year. We expect to do a lot. So just find us at theconservativesyndicate.net.
You know what, and remember, that's Monday through Friday from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific time. And you can go to John's website, and that's going to be the best way for you to get to him. Hey, John, you have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you on Monday.
Yeah, you'll be on my last show of the week next week.
All right, buddy, you take care. All right, now when we come back, we'll be with David Garrett on the law. Don't go away. We'll be right back, folks.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
The story you are about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, coming to you from the bowels of the Hall of Justice, our own legal guru, David Garrett, attorney at law.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 4:01 p.m. Pacific time. It's currently 59 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, it's on its way down to 45 degrees, but if you're listening to us on our globally syndicated network and you're in London, England, well, it's 34 degrees and it's clear. And if you're in Vienna, Austria, it's also 34 degrees, but it's snowing there. But I'll tell you where there's not snowing. There are no clouds and no rain and no snow over the head of our own legal guru, David Garrett. Here is our own David Garrett on the law. Hey, David, how you doing, buddy?
Good, Bob. How you doing?
I'm doing terrific. You know what? Sorry you had problems getting a hold of me earlier. You know what happens? I get caught up in conversation with people, and then I'm not paying attention to the board, and I don't see the thing coming through, right? And then all of a sudden, then I get the message, "Hey, Bob, I can't get through. I can't get through." So I apologize to you, David.
Oh, not at all. No, we're good.
So listen, what's on the agenda for today?
Well, I got a few things to cover, but I thought the good place to start would be that Fort Lauderdale airport shooting.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, that'd be an interesting thing to talk about. It's an amazing thing to think about a guy that's he flies all the way from Alaska to Florida to kill people.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts. Just nuts. You know what? And he only had one bag, and I guess the only thing he had in the bag was the gun with the ammunition.
Right. Yeah, so he has the gun in one bag, or in the little, when you travel with a gun, you put it in there, you lock it up.
Yeah.
And then I guess you can carry ammunition in a separate bag. So he gets those through, then follows the TSA procedure, gets the gun out, gets his ammunition, goes in the bathroom, loads it up, and comes out and starts shooting.
Man, just amazing. Just, and you know what? You know what the sad part of this is? Him getting incarcerated and him being put away, and maybe him not getting help was a bad thing, but the people he killed and the people that he injured were just innocent people that hadn't done anything to anyone.
Oh, exactly. And then when you go through this thing, I don't know how much of the events leading up to the shooting is that you've read about, but apparently he was up in Alaska in November and goes into a FBI office, tells him that he thinks the CIA is sending codes to his laptop, and that they're telling him, voices in his head are telling him to join ISIS.
Yeah.
So,
and they do nothing, right?
Well, they got a little concerned about it. They confiscated his gun and told him to get a mental health evaluation. Apparently, he went in on a voluntary commitment, got some mental health evaluation, then goes back about 30 days later, gets the gun back, and that's the one he uses in the shooting.
God, it's almost like, let's just put them through the motions and forget it, right?
Yeah. Me myself, I'm generally believe fairly strongly in the Second Amendment, but this case points out a fairly big loophole in the way the Second Amendment and how we deal with the mentally ill in that.
Oh yeah, well you got a question. Here's a guy that had their wherewithal, or not the wherewithal, but at least the state of mind to go to the FBI and say, "Hey, I'm having a problem. I'm hearing these voices. I'm seeing these things." And he's the one that had to say to them, "Hey, and I've got this weapon, and I'm worried." And they don't just take charge of the guy and take him down. They say, "Hey, we're going to take your weapon. We'll give it back to you after you have this mental evaluation done." And he's got to take himself down himself to get the mental evaluation done. No one is probably taking this guy serious at all. When he gets done with his month or 28 days or whatever it is, he goes back to the FBI. They give him back his gun. He gets on an airplane. He flies to Florida and starts killing people. There is something wrong with that process.
Yeah, it's nuts. And I think where the loophole is Alaska as a state follows the federal law on the mentally deranged possessing a firearm. And basically what that federal law is that unless there's a court order of some sort requiring an involuntary commitment for mental health treatment, it doesn't deprive a person of possessing a weapon.
Well, I think that the circumstances in this case would indicate otherwise, huh?
Well, except they didn't go through the court process. He went through a voluntary commitment.
Oh, that's what I mean. You know where I think it fell down? I think it fell down when the FBI did not take possession of him as well as the weapon, didn't take him down to the mental health facility, and I think the people at the mental health facility didn't give him the credence that he deserved to have and give him an honest evaluation, or perhaps they would have found out he had PTSD or something else. And the VA could have taken care of him. This guy obviously needed some help.
Yeah. I mean, to me, I'm not a mental health guy, but it sounds like paranoid schizophrenia to me. Yeah.
You know what? And it seems to me if we can figure that out just after pretty easy for us to figure it out, to 5 dead people and 8 or 9 wounded. And so I guess it's pretty easy to figure out after if you're going to play Monday morning quarterback, right? But the thing is that here's a guy that voluntarily went in. If that doesn't tell you that he's got a problem, what the hell does?
Yeah, and this is where I think the law is misplaced. It would seem to me that the mental condition of the patient ought to be what dictates whether or not the guy possesses a gun or not.
Yeah.
Not the fact that he went in voluntarily versus involuntary.
Right. I agree with you.
And it's just there's something missing there. So Alaska's following the federal law. There's a bunch of other states that have, different versions. I think California would have kept it away under a voluntary commitment.
Well, I mean, you know what I'm thinking, David? I'm thinking, if you had a nervous breakdown and you had to get, some rehab, or maybe even you were an alcoholic and you had to go for rehab, or maybe you're a recurring alcoholic and you slipped a couple, 2 or 3 times, and all of these different issues. I think anyone who has those incapacities that it could affect their judgment should not be able to have a weapon.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And I'm not saying that once you have a period of mental health crisis that you can't turn that around. But I mean, while they're in crisis, let's keep the gun away.
Yeah.
If a doctor certifies, you're back to normal and baseline, you're not going to do anything.
Well, you know what they need to do? What they need to do is to say, okay, listen, whether it's voluntary or involuntary, you're not going to be allowed to have any weapons for a 1-year period after the doctor releases you. And if when the doctor releases you to have a weapon, not necessarily says that you're out of the woods, but when the doctor says, hey, you're okay, it's a year before you can get that weapon back. But regardless of when he says you're okay, that doctor is going to be liable for that decision to let you get that weapon back for the next 3 years.
Yeah.
Now maybe the doctor will look at it a little differently.
And I agree with that. Let me contrast that to the law that we got here in California.
Okay.
We have, under certain situations, battery. I mean, it can be as simple as getting in a bar fight or something. Mm-hmm. There can be a 10-year prohibition against the guy that got in a fight and got convicted of battery. Yeah,
because if he's going to cause physical harm, regardless of the kind that he does, then he shouldn't be able to have a weapon of any kind.
Yeah,
and I mean, I shouldn't be able to have a pistol, a rifle, or a knife, or any kind of a weapon. Maybe that would stop some of these I was going to say innocent bar fights. There's no such thing as an innocent bar fight. It would stop some of the altercations from taking place. I don't think it's going to stop gang activity or anything like that, but it could make it tougher. But the thing is that if we don't put in tough laws, then we're letting the Second Amendment run us instead of us respecting it.
Yeah, I just can't fathom a set of circumstances where somebody that's in mental health crisis, you take the gun away and then you give it back to them. I have difficulty with that concept.
Let me ask you another question, David. When we talk about the Second Amendment and the right to bear arms, are arms defined as dischargeable weapons, or knives and other bombs and other things like that considered arms as well?
Well, I think you look at the existing laws and it's kind of give you the definition. Forever it's been illegal to have an automatic, full automatic firearm. Mm-hmm. So I think certain things like that kind of get scripted out. California for a long time had the no switchblade or no butterfly knife. Mm-hmm. Deal. I think the thing kicks in when you have a complete prohibition. I don't think bombs have ever been construed as being covered by the Second Amendment right to bear arms.
Yeah, because anybody who has bombs or bomb-making materials, they are already in violation of the law, are they not?
Oh, yeah, they're in violation of a bunch of laws.
Yeah. So, I mean, it gets to be, I was saying, I don't know if I said it to you or not. It's when I was growing up, and I'm an old son of a gun. When I was growing up, I lived in a much, much friendlier, safer, serene world than we live in today. You know, when I was in high school and college, you know what? You'd get into a fight, and not so much in college, but mostly in high school. You'd get into a fight, or you arrange for a fight, or you'd say, hey, we're going to meet at your school behind a building or whatever you're going to do. And you were mad, and you wanted to beat the heck out of this guy. You didn't want to kill him. You didn't want to maim him or break anything. You just wanted to have a fight and teach him a lesson. I can remember I went to a parochial high school, and when you got mad at somebody, you got caught fighting, they'd stop the fight, put you into the gym, put these 32-ounce boxing gloves on you, and make you fight each other. You couldn't hurt yourself no matter what you did with those things. You were so exhausted, you both passed out from exhaustion just about. And then when you were all done, you had it all out of your system, you wound up being best of friends. But today, it's who can you kill? Who can you hurt and maim? And what kind of damage can you do? What the heck kind of world do we live in?
Yeah. I mean, did you see that thing in the news happened over last night? It was a guy and there were two couples. They get together, apparently get in an argument, go outside, get in a fight. One guy ends up with the pipe and beats the other guy who kills him right there on the spot. I mean, I don't know. It's just a different world.
Yeah. You know what? It's almost like when I was growing up, anger management wasn't as big an issue as what anger management is today. Because people are looking for a weapon. They're not looking to hit you with their hands or their fists. They're looking for something to maim you with, to hurt you with. And most people, you know what? They don't realize how easy it is to kill someone. It's really not hard. And if they pick up a pipe or a rock or God knows what, you know what? There's a pretty good chance that you got this guy's life in your hands.
Right. Yeah, just like you say, it's just a different world.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah. I don't know about you, but I know, you know, when I see trouble or I see an altercation or something, I mean, there are exceptions to it, but generally I'm going to stay the heck out of that. I don't want to be the innocent victim. I don't, right. But if I'm seeing something that's way out of line, and it's not a gang related thing or something like that, I'll probably step in. If I see a couple of kids that are, being stupid, I may do something, say something, but I'm not going to get into a situation where, as an innocent guy, I'm going to take on the responsibility to break this thing up and wind up dead.
No, and that's the risk you run out here.
Yeah.
Just, like you say.
I mean, road rage, these are guys with guns.
Yeah, it's all over because somebody, cut you off or, most times somebody probably wasn't paying attention, and then off they go crazy.
Yeah, or somebody took your right away from you, and all of a sudden you go nuts, right? Who cares? So you had to wait an extra car length. Who cares?
Yeah, that's exactly it. And it's a lot of times in rush hour traffic, and nobody's going to go any place very fast. Okay, you got there one car ahead of me.
Yeah.
Big deal.
Yeah. Not much of a big deal at all, right? Just a stupid thing. Hey, David, we're going to have to take a break here in about 45 seconds. So I want you to give some contact information for your firm.
Okay. We're here in Rancho Cucamonga. The telephone number is area code 909-945-5000, and we can be found on the web at www.lawbbg.com.
And we're going to be right back with our own David Garrett on the law right after these brief messages. Do not go away.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios, Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 4:22 p.m. Pacific time, currently 58 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California, on the way down to 47 degrees. If you're listening to us on our globally syndicated network and you're in Madrid, Spain, well, it's 34 degrees and it is clear. And if you're in Tokyo, Japan today, listening to our show, thank you very much for one thing, and it's 35 degrees and clear. But we're talking to our own David Garrett on the law. Hey, David, we're back on the air together. You know, we were talking about how people make these laws and they kind of go by the letter and not the intent of the laws, and we wind up with people having weapons, and that's specifically what we're talking about here, having weapons of some sort that should never have gotten into their hands. And I'm not so sure that the laws were made to guarantee the right to have weapons, or the laws were made to actually safeguard us from people that shouldn't have them.
Well, I think the answer to that is the laws are attempt to define under what set of circumstances can we deprive somebody of a constitutional right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's where the big trouble comes in. Let's take the gun law example. A lot of times, is it right to keep a gun from somebody just because they're depressed and they say, "Hey, I may kill myself"? Or,
well, I'm not so. I mean, this is going to sound bad. It's not the way I mean it to sound. I'm not near as concerned about the guy that his head is not right and he may kill himself. I'm worried about the guy whose head is not right and he may kill other people before he kills himself.
Right. Well, let's go to the Fort Lauderdale guy.
Yeah.
He's going in there. He's rambling. He's nuts. He's saying that the CIA wants him to listen to ISIS. But then he says, "But I'm not going to hurt anybody."
You know who he didn't hurt? He didn't hurt himself. You notice when he ran out of ammunition, he laid the gun down, laid himself down, and just waited for the police to handcuff him and take him away.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly it. It's that balancing thing of under what set of circumstances is it right to, as they say, take away a constitutional right. My way of thinking is if you're, have a mental issue going on at that point in time, it's okay to suspend that constitutional right.
Well, you know what? As long as you're talking about the Constitution, because it just seems to be an area of tremendous concern to me that some of these legislators that we vote into office, or should I say hire, to represent us and look after our best interests and in our security, who don't do that. Sometimes they're pretty quick to come out and say, we need another amendment, or we need to rescind an amendment. You know what? The forefathers, our founding fathers, gave an awful lot of thought to that Constitution. And of course we had a lot less amendments when they formed our country. But the thing is, I don't think we should be so quick to ratify or to eliminate any amendments or to put new amendments in. You know what? That's a pretty doggone serious living document, and we ought to be able to live by it. They tried to create a country like no other, and we seem to be the only democracy that seems to thrive most of the time. I'm totally against this changing the amendment, but I am in support of sometimes people abuse the rights that they have under the Constitution, and they need to be throttled back a bit.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. I would definitely agree with that. It's, and I think one of the bigger, couple examples here I'd like to talk to you about.
Okay.
But one of the bigger problems we run into is how does our Constitution, that was drafted back in 1800s, during that time frame with a lot of the amendments, deal with the technology that we have in place at the present time.
Right.
And so let me give you a couple things here that are kind of interesting. Do you remember us talking about the Stingray box?
Yes.
Okay. That has finally kind of come to the forefront. There's and for those that may not know what the Stingray is, it's a box that the police can carry around, and I guess it's a briefcase-looking thing. They can set it up. It spoofs a cell tower, and all of a sudden your cell phone acts like it's connected and everything, but it's connected directly to the police.
Right.
So we've got this attorney in Chicago, and he was out there during one of these Black Lives Matter protests, and apparently the police were running around with Stingray devices, trying to monitor what was going on. And he was just there as a monitor, but they spoofed his phone. And so he's filed suit this time, just simply alleging that it was a violation of his constitutional right to be free from unreasonable searches and seizures.
Right.
And it tees this problem up, on all fours for determination. But prior.
But they're doing that. But aren't they doing that unconstitutionally anyway? Because you have the right to privacy and to actually interfere with that right of privacy. Don't you? Doesn't it require a judge to sign off on that?
Not necessarily. I think this whole area is very murky. They didn't need it for the purpose they were using it for, and so we get into some kind of archaic arguments here. In the case of a lot of the searches and seizures, the statement is, you're not, if you have something in open view or in a public place, your expectation of privacy is a lot less, and it's not an unreasonable search and seizure. In this case, yeah, he's out in a public place with his cell phone. Well, how does the law address that? Is the cell phone any less?
But David, isn't that tantamount to tapping? If they're using this artificial cell site that they've got so that they can listen in on what you're saying, isn't that the same thing as tapping your phone? It
can be. That's part of the problem with the Stingray is there's never any real official designation of what it actually does.
Is he this guy in Chicago? Is he the first guy to bring this to the forefront?
Yeah, as far as I'm aware of. A lot of times the Stingray is simply used solely for the purpose of locating where that particular cell phone is actually at. So let me give this public place doctrine just as it applies to the cell phone.
Okay.
You got a criminal, he's walking down the street, so you're chasing him with the Stingray. He's in a public place. You find his location. Well, that Stingray, as it's being used, is also spoofing people that were sitting in their house because he's walking by an apartment building.
Yeah, because it's not selective. It picks up every signal, right?
Right. Yeah. Is your expectation of privacy any less because you're walking on the sidewalk as opposed to you're sitting in your home?
Yeah.
I think there's that expectation of privacy in both places.
You say you don't or you do?
I do.
Yeah, I agree with you.
And, I don't, that's an issue that the courts are going to have to figure out at some point. There's another one, and these have been kind of interesting to me. You know that stuff we've heard on the news about the Amazon Echo?
I'm not sure.
Okay, this is the device in your home, and you give it a keyword, and then it goes out and searches for something. So you can talk to the thing. You can say, like, the keyword happens to be Alexa. You say, Alexa, what's the weather at wherever it happens to be?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, it's sort of like a browser, but it's in your house.
Right, and it's voice activated. So there's a court or some prosecutors in Arkansas that are trying to find out if Alexa, by chance, happened to have overheard some of the events that surrounded a murder that took place out there.
Oh.
So the idea being that a lot of times this device will get triggered inadvertently even when you're not talking to it. Maybe it recorded something and sent this audio stream to Amazon's servers for where it's interpreted. So they're trying to get that particular information. In this case, they're using a warrant to get it. But
because that would work very much like emails or texts or voicemail, right?
Right. But some of the questions that haven't been answered is it possible to turn that device into listening mode remotely. I don't think anybody knows the answer to that.
And then there goes your right to privacy again. And the thing is that, what really bothers me, and you and I talked about this recently, is that if you allow the government, any government, but especially our government, where we supposedly live in a free country, and you have, certain inalienable rights, if you allow them to start chipping away at your rights, not your privileges, but your rights, one day you're going to turn around and find out you have no rights.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I'll give you another thought that came to mind. I use that Waze program. I don't know if you use that. It's a thing that you can type in your phone, gives you directions.
Oh, yes, I do. I use it all the time.
Yeah, it gives you real-time traffic information as you're going along. Well, to give that real-time traffic information, it's undoubtedly recording GPS coordinates of you and everybody else that are members of that network as you're proceeding down the freeway or wherever you are. Yeah,
because it's got to use your information for other people, too.
Yeah. What's to stop the government from getting blow-by-blow detail of where you were at certain times as you're traveling on that network?
Well, don't they do that now? I mean, or is it just a TV thing that I'm watching where they're figuring out where you are, where you've been, what time you've been there based on the pinging on cell sites?
Right. Only, I don't know how accurate that pinging on cell sites is.
Mm-hmm. Well, they don't, in that case, I don't know how accurate that is either. They just know what basic area you're in based on the cell site coverage that bounces off of it. But you know what? You hit the nail on the head. If they can figure out what area you're in based on the pinging of a cell site and then plug in your GPS to that, then they know where you are within a few feet.
Yeah. I don't have answers to these questions yet. I think some of them are probably still yet to come up, but, this idea of being free from unreasonable searches and seizure, and what's our expectation of privacy?
Well, how did we get all of this magnificent technology, and the government just be able to utilize that without any controls, without any, I can understand the courts can't really make the laws to make these agencies comply, but what the heck is keeping the legislatures from doing it?
And I think what it is technology is moving faster than our governmental structure is equipped to deal with.
Yeah, no question about it. You know what? I don't know about you. I can remember when I got my first car phone. It was hard installed in my car. I remember when the first cell phone came out, it fit in a briefcase. It was like a military walkie-talkie. And now I've got a phone that I use. They call it a smartphone. It's really a computer. It's more powerful than the computers that put Neil Armstrong on the moon and brought him back. It's amazing technology, and I wouldn't want to have to do without any of it. But there needs to be not controls against me having it, but controls against agencies abusing it.
Yeah, that's where I think we're at in society at this point.
Yeah,
as I use Waze, until this thing about Echo came up, because I have one of those things. Mm-hmm. I didn't even contemplate the idea of, hey, I really am telling somebody where I'm going every time I turn that program off.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Hey, David, give out that contact information one more time, because you're not going to believe this, but we're out of time.
Sure. Well, the phone number is area code 909-945-5000. And the firm website is www.lawbbg.com.
And listen, are you going fishing? Because it's not going to be raining tomorrow.
I am seriously thinking about it.
That's my boy. Hey, you have a great weekend, David. Stay safe, stay dry, stay happy, and we'll talk to you next week.
Definitely, Bob. Have a good weekend.
You too. And the rest of you folks, stay tuned, because when we come back, we're going to be doing the birthdays for the day, the secret daily teaching for your life, and interesting but useless facts. And then right after that, we'll be doing our tribute to the late, great Paul Harvey and the rest of the story. Today's story? Amazing. And you're not going to want to miss it. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. You know, nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 4:42 p.m. Pacific time. Currently 58 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, the high today was 60, so it hadn't gone down much, but it's going down to 47 degrees before the evening's over. If you're listening to us on our globally syndicated network and you happen to be in Hong Kong, well, you know what? It's 61 degrees and it's raining right now. And if you're lucky enough to be in Lisbon, Portugal, well, it's 48 degrees and it is clear. But right now, I want to talk to you about the secret daily teaching for your life. This is all about a positive mental attitude. You decide if you're going to be rich or poor, if you're going to be happy or sad, if you're going to be success or a failure. You do it every morning when you get up. You look in the mirror and you say, wow, I'm going to have a fantastic, productive, profitable day today, and I'm going to make sure that everybody around me is happy and smiling. Well, you do that with a positive mental attitude. You control. No one else does. You know what the secret for today is? Powerfully intend to attract something small. Starting with something small like a cup of coffee or parking spaces is an easy way to experience the law of attraction in action. As you experience the power that you have to attract, you'll move on to creating much bigger things. You know what? I know that works. You ever wonder why it is you get into a parking lot and you go down a particular aisle? You have this sixth sense that says, I think there's going to be a space there. Or you go a little bit farther because you think there'll be a space that's opened up a little bit closer. And if you've got a positive mental attitude, well, you know what? Most often than not, you get what you're looking for. Yeah. Well, you know what? You know what today is? We all know what today is. It's not a big secret, right? Nah. Today is Friday, January the 13th. Friday the 13th. But it's somebody's birthday. And you know what? We've got some really interesting birthdays today, so we might as well just get right to them and do them, right? Well, here's a person born in 1961. She was an actress and comedian, best known for her role as Elaine Binns on the NBC sitcom Seinfeld. Happy birthday, Julia Louis-Dreyfus. And here's born in 1966, an actor and race car driver, known for his role as McDreamy on Grey's Anatomy. Happy birthday, Patrick Dempsey. And then finally, born in 1977, had a role as the elf prince Legolas in The Lord of the Rings. And starting in 2003, as blacksmith Will Turner in the Pirates of the Caribbean trilogy. Happy birthday, Orlando Bloom. Yeah. Well, you know what? You've been wondering about what happened today in history. Well, sit down, relax. I'm about to tell you. On January the 13th in 1610, Galileo discovers the fourth moon of Jupiter. And on this date in 1982, after takeoff, Air Florida Flight 90 crashes into a D.C. bridge and falls into the Potomac River. You know, the sad part about that is I was actually there when that took place. I mean, I wasn't on the plane, but I was in Washington, D.C. Well, you know, on January the 13th, 1990, L. Douglas Wilder, or Wilder, I guess you should say it, becomes the very first elected African-American governor as he takes office in Richmond, Virginia. Yeah. Well, the quote for today comes from Oscar Levant. Oscar says, behind the phony tinsel of Hollywood lies the real tinsel of Hollywood. Give that some thought. Put that in your pipe and smoke it, huh? Yeah. Well, time for those interesting but useless facts. We've got some time and we've got some facts. So why don't I just go ahead and take this opportunity to give you some of these things and do with them as you please. Did you know that mosquitoes are more attracted to the color blue than any other color? You ever wonder why you have these light traps and things and the lights are blue? Yeah, because it attracts the mosquitoes. Well, you know what? Murphy's oil soap is the chemical most commonly used to clean elephants. I didn't know that. That's kind of interesting. And I guess, can you imagine soaping down an elephant? Well, never mind. You know, the fist product, to have a barcode, the very first product to have a barcode was Wrigley's chewing gum. That's kind of interesting. And chewing gum while peeling onions will keep you from crying. Well, you know what? I'm going to have to go out and buy some chewing gum to put that to the test, but I will put that to the test. You know, one of my favorite chewing gums has always been Wrigley's Juicy Fruit. That's a lovely chewing gum. So spearmint, but Juicy Fruit, that's the one. How about this? Parrots have curved bills or beaks, strong legs, and clawed feet. Mm-hmm. You know, you ever wonder about these guys that come up with these things? You know, what they do. I mean, gee, many Christmas. Anyway, did you know that there is no rice in rice paper? That's interesting. How about this? In the Durango Desert in Mexico, there's a creepy spot called the Zone of Silence. You can't pick up clear TV or radio signals, and locals say fireballs sometimes appear in the sky. Durango Desert in Mexico. Well, let me give you another one here. Did you know that cell self-anointing is something only hedgehogs do, in which they lick or nibble on something, make a foamy paste in their mouths, and then spread it with their long tongues in little spots on their quills. No one has ever determined exactly why they do this. Yeah, interesting. Well, try this on for size. Typewriter is the longest word that can be made using the letters only on one row of the keyboard. Typewriter. That's kind of interesting. All right. Let me leave you with this one. The Cullinan diamond is the largest gem quality diamond ever discovered and was found in 1905. The original 3,100 carats were cut to make jewels for the British crown jewels in the British royal family's collection. Now, you probably found that interesting. Now, I don't want you to go away, because when we come back, we're going to be doing our tribute to the late, great Paul Harvey and the rest of the story. And I've already told you that today's story is titled Amazing. You're not going to want to miss this story. It's going to be phenomenal. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios, Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry and a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39. A complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. And it's time for our tribute to the late, great Paul Harvey and the rest of the story. Yes, sir. The American Broadcasting Company calls him the biggest voice in America. He's Paul Harvey, and each week millions of listeners, viewers, and readers would await his unraveling of the mysteries of events in the lives of people past and present. He was heard on over 1,400 radio stations, seen on 110 television stations, and read in over 300 newspapers. The rest of the story has for years been exploring the byways of history with revelations that are intriguing, amusing, and surprising. Well, today's story is titled Amazing. You know what? It was not uncommon in 18th century England for a boy to spend several uninspiring months in boarding school and then head out to sea. That's how it happened for John. When John was 11, his father, a master of a ship in the Mediterranean trade, took the boy on board. This early training provided excellent groundwork for John's next major seafaring experience, impressment into the British Navy. Yet, what John had gained from his father's knowledge of sailing, he had lost in discipline. John was soon arrested for desertion, publicly flogged, and demoted to common sailor. Still, in his teens, John received permission to sail on the HMS Harwich, bound for the African coast. By now, the unsettled and impatient youth was emerging as the rotten apple of the barrel. Mocking authority, he chose his friends unwisely and sank to the depths of vice. In Africa, John fell into the service of a slave dealer. Slave trade began to fascinate John as a lucrative livelihood, but before he knew it, he was put to work on the dealer's plantation, laboring with the other slaves. At 21, John escaped, hopping on an outbound ship called the Greyhound. He presently returned to the depravity of his teens. Associated with the lowest of the crew members, John ridiculed the upright seamen in his company, ridiculed the ship's captain, even ridiculed a book that he had found on board, a book entitled The Imitation of Christ. Clearly, he remembered joking about that book one bright afternoon, the night the Greyhound sailed into a violent storm. John awakened to discover his cabin half filled with seawater. The ship's side had caved in and the Greyhound was going down. The Greyhound had sailed into the high seas. Her side collapsed in the turbulence. Ordinarily, such damage would send a ship to the bottom within a few minutes. In this case, the Greyhound's buoyant cargo bought a few extra hours of precious time. After 9 hours at the pumps, John overheard a desperate remark from one of the crew. They were all goners, he said. And almost in answer, John unwittingly, and for the first time in his life, prayed, "If this will not do, the Lord have mercy on us." The record shows that the Greyhound did not go down, although one might have expected John's prayer of emergency to be quickly forgotten. It was remembered unto his death. Each year he observed the anniversary of that most significant incident with prayer and fasting. In a very real sense, he observed it throughout each remaining day of his life. For John retired from the sea to become a minister, also a writer of verse. And the immortal words of a bad boy turned good, the distant reflection of an event long past, are celebrated to this day. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. John was John Newton, and now you know the rest of the story. Well, tomorrow's story is Monday's story is the remarkable Miss Neef. Now, you're not going to want to miss that. It's going to be a really, really interesting story. And we're going to have a great, great show for you next week. On my next show, John Matthews, Joe Hakos, and I, we're going to be talking about conservative politics on our semi-weekly simulcast. And then John Hansen's going to be here, that little old wine drinker, and we're going to be talking about food and wine, yes, sir. And then we're going to continue our tribute, like I said, to the late, great Paul Harvey and the rest of the story. Please tell all your friends about our show here on the RLC Broadcasting Network. They'll be glad you did. You will be glad you did. And I certainly will be glad you did.
That's our show for today. Beginning today, treat everyone you meet as if they were going to be dead by midnight. Extend them all the care, kindness, and understanding that you can muster. Your life will never be the same again. So many of our dreams at first seem impossible, then they seem improbable, and then, when we summon the will, they soon become inevitable. You know, the real secret of happiness is to make others believe that they're the cause of it. Robert Cardoza Live is brought to you by blogtalkradio.com every Monday through Friday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Now, go out and make it a great day. Your host has been Robert Cardoza, the technical advisor, Matchstick Digital, and your executive producer, also Robert Cardoza.